welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Aaron Porras, and coming up in today's newscast, the votes are finally tallied and the results are coming in. Israel's 25th Knesset now that much closer to forming. Meantime, right-wing parties celebrating as it appears that they will likely form the next government. But finally, as the last votes are tallied, changes may still arise. ILTV and expert panelists discussing the possibilities and what's to come. The polling booths are closed, and as of Wednesday afternoon, nearly 100% of the so-called regular votes in Israel's fifth serial election have been counted. Results can still sway as the final vote coming to a head. Additionally, some 500,000 so-called double envelope votes containing ballots cast by soldiers, prisoners, and diplomats abroad still coming in. But according to the results so far, the right-wing bloc led by Likud chairman, opposition leader, and former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appearing to be a clear winner with upwards of 65 seats. Netanyahu's Likud, for starters, again the largest party, earning upwards of 31 seats. Then his right-wing partners Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir from the controversial Religious Zionism Party taking 14 seats, followed by the Religious Shas and the United Torah Judaism parties with 12 and 8 respectively. The current coalition parties, meantime, picking up 45 seats without the Islamist Ram party, as several coalition parties now saying they'd refuse to partner with Ram again. So Prime Minister Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid coming in as the second largest party with 24 seats. The centrist National Unity Party under Defense Minister Benny Gantz and Justice Minister Gideon Sa'ar getting 12. The secular conservative Israel Beitenu Party getting 5 seats. And finally, Labour getting the minimum of 4. Neither Interior Minister Ayelet Shaked's Jewish Home Party nor the left-wing Meretz, however, passing the threshold yet, meaning neither taking their place in the 25th Knesset. That said, Meretz is so far with 3.2% of the vote, just a hair short of the 3.25% needed to pass the threshold. And likewise, Arab Party Balad earning 3.04% of the vote, but the other two Arab parties, Ram and Hadash-Tal, already making it in with 5 seats each. Now, as the results are trickling in, all eyes in Israel fixed on their TV screens with rising and, in some cases, sharply dropping hopes. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz reports.
The first indications were clearly on the side of Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party, far outpacing Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid. More importantly, according to the polls, former Prime Minister Netanyahu's potential coalition reached a majority needed to form a narrow right-wing government. There was certainly optimism and happiness in Likud headquarters, but Netanyahu was cautious in remarks to supporters. Netanyahu knows from experience that final results do not always match the exit polls. The fragile majority could disappear when the final count is in.
אנחנו עדיין צריכים לחכות לתוצאות האמת, אבל דבר אחד כבר ברור. הדרך שלנו, דרך הליכוד, הוכיחה את עצמה. אני מזכיר לכם שמ-52 מנדטים בבחירות האחרונות, אנחנו על סף ניצחון גדול מאוד.
Certainly the big winner of the election cycle was Netanyahu ally Religious Zionism, and within Religious Zionism, the firebrand Itamar Ben-Gvir. They emerged as the third largest party, and right-wing partners for Netanyahu with clear demands to deal with security issues in a pure right-wing government.
מבקשים לעשות הפרדה מוחלטת בין מי שנאמן למדינת ישראל ואין לנו שום בעיה איתו לבין מי שחותר תחת קיומה של המדינה היקרה שלנו.
There were strong showings by Netanyahu's other political partners, the ultra-Orthodox Shas and United Torah Judaism. Over in Yesh Atid headquarters, there was severe disappointment that they failed to outpace Likud. Party leader and Prime Minister Yair Lapid said that Netanyahu's return to office is still anything but clear.
הלילה הזה הולך להימשך יומיים. עד שלא תספר המעטפה האחרונה, שום דבר לא נגמר ושום דבר לא נסגר, ואנחנו נחכה בסבלנות, גם אם אין לנו סבלנות, עד שיגיעו הנתונים הסופיים. באתי לכאן הלילה כדי להגיד לכם תודה מעומק ליבי. יש עתיד עשתה היום הישג נדיר.
Defense Minister Benny Gantz's National Union Party finished only fourth. Gantz still managed to pick up enough seats to keep alive the notion that he could try to form the next government if Netanyahu is unable to do so. Finance Minister Lieberman's Yisrael Beitenu was weaker than usual. The two parties on the left appear to have done well enough to enter the Knesset, but just barely. Labor and Meretz and even Lieberman must wait for the final results before they can be certain that they're in the Knesset. The biggest remaining question is whether all three Arab parties will pass the threshold needed. The Islamic Ram party, which is in the current coalition, is strongest and not in danger, but both Hadash-Tal and Balad are on the edge of the qualifying minimum. If one or both manage to enter the Knesset, it could be at the cost of Netanyahu's potential coalition majority.
Now, the mood of many Israelis this morning largely depending, of course, on their feelings about the election results. Supporters of Netanyahu and his allies are jubilant at the prospect of a right-wing government returning to power. Those opposed, meantime, are understandably concerned. Back to ILTV Steve Leibowitz for their comments.
Israelis woke up today to newspaper headlines cautiously declaring the right-wing bloc to be the winner in the general elections. Cautious because, from experience, we know that the final result may not reflect the same result as the exit polls. The final result is not expected until later in the week and could be decided by the narrowest of margins. Even though this was Israel's fifth election in less than 4 years, turnout was reported at the highest levels since 2015. Supporters from former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's camp celebrated on Tuesday night, while his opponents voiced hope for a better future.
ואנחנו מקווים שהמדגמים לא טעו, ושזה לא ישתנה, ושזה מה שיהיה התוצאות האמת בסוף, ויהיה לנו ניצחון לימין פה, בראשות נתניהו.
רק לביבי. אתה מבסוט. כי ביבי מבסוט, וכי ניצחנו.
Others in Israel were clearly disappointed with the result.
I'm actually pretty disappointed because I think we need some changes here in Israel, and like what we had in the past wasn't really good, and the situation is not the best in Israel, and we have to get this change. And unfortunately, it didn't happen in today's vote, so I hope it will be better in the future.
Now, joining me to discuss the results thus far, Times of Israel journalist Carrie Keller-Lynn and diplomatic correspondent from the Israel Hayom Daily, Ariel Kahana. Thank you both so much for joining us. I understand that everybody has had a very long night counting the votes. So first off, it seems like a decisive victory with the right wing coming out on top, but is this going to be a stable government? If any one party leaves, or we could see, if any one party leaves, rather, we could see a repeat of what got us into the repeat elections in the first place in 2019. Ariel, let's start with you.
Hi, Ernest. Thanks for having me. So I would say the following. First of all, the victory is not a right-wing bloc victory. It's Netanyahu's personal victory. He did once again the unbelievable, fighting, I would say, against everyone. He didn't go even through, the media here in Israel. It was almost all the campaign through some journalists and channels that support him and social networks. Okay, he didn't go to Channel 12 so. And he managed the campaign, he managed the messages, he managed the block, right? He combined, if you remember, between Smotrich and Ben-Gvir. So he is the winner for sure. Now, what will happen with the coalition, whether it will be stable or not, is the same. It depends on him. If Netanyahu will go with the ideology he promised, the ideology is that now the entire bloc, the right-wing bloc, is supportive of, and that means reforms in the legal system. That means a right-wing policy in Judea and Samaria, and so on, some other topics, if you want, we can go into it. So if he will follow the ideology of the bloc, so then he can definitely have 4 years in seat with a very stable government.
So, Carrie, what's your take on this, and what does it say about what's important to Israelis that the far-right, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Smotrich party are the third largest party? What is it about the religious Zionists that resonated with so many voters? To watch full episodes of ILTV's Israel Daily and tons of other content from Israel, visit our website at iltv.tv or download the ILTV Plus app.